and welcome to the Flying Cat Marketing interview series. Today I have Chris Maughn, who is the founder of I-PRAC, which provides it's a verification platform for the short-term rental industry. And I'm very excited to have you here today, Chris. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, and thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. We've been chatting back and forth a little bit on LinkedIn for a while, and the first time that we meet, as now I'm starting to get into the habit of meeting people for the first time on the podcast. So
yeah,
great to have you here and have a little chat with you today.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a pleasure.
Hopefully
we can get some good content out there.
Oh, I think we will, because we were already talking about some really interesting things before I started hitting record.
Yeah.
We were talking about the unspoken stories that you just got a feature
Yes.
by Neely, from Neely there. She wrote a 37-page feature about your life story and entrepreneurship, which I thought was interesting. And I really liked the motto that you said, there's always room for the best.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So tell us, for the people who haven't read this Unspoken Stories, tell me a little bit about your path to I-PRAC and how you started in the short-term rental industry and decided to get into this create this verification platform.
Sure. Well, I started in short-term rentals. I'm originally from the UK, and I came down to the south of France in Cannes on a bit of a different journey to start with. I came down as a sales and marketing director for a big health club chain, which we came down to see whether or not we could build a health club here in the south of France, which didn't work out. And I was asked to go back to the northeast of England, and I kind of just declined that. So, 6 months in the south of France is enough to kind of reject a visit, and move back to the UK. That was the kind of point when I realized that although Cannes was a saturated market for the short-term rental industry, I could see that there was a gap in the market for the best. And I'm always believe that there's, like you said before, there's always room for the best. That's a saying that I learned when I was like 16. And just that there was nobody operating at a high level in terms of corporate rentals, and Cannes was an actual corporate destination with all of the corporate events that come into Cannes each year. So that's when I kind of got started in the short-term rental industry. So that was a bit of a struggle to build a new business without speaking the language, not really knowing the culture and how it went. But again, I just believe that there was a gap in the market. So that's where we started, and that kind of built up to working with some of the biggest brands in the world, really. I mean, we've got clients now with Twitter, Spotify, Google, Microsoft, Fox, Disney, and we provide all of their accommodation and event management here in Cannes. Wow. So we've built from nothing up to that level to just under a 15 million turnover business. And that was kind of what I was doing, but it was 2014 when I witnessed fraud for the first time. I knew it existed, but it was when I witnessed it for the first time, which basically saw a young family who'd been frauded £15,000, stranded on the side of the road here in Cannes. And that kind of prompted me to think that the industry I worked in, and the industry that I loved, and the industry that provided me a very nice lifestyle, was being tormented by fraudsters, just operating within the space easily. And that was what prompted me to say, you know what, I'm going to tackle this and have a go at changing the industry. And that's what happened and that's why we founded I-PRAC, and that's where we are today with I-PRAC as it's the leading global certification for the short-term rental industry. So it's great that we've achieved that, but I'm still the CEO and founder of AES in Cannes, and also the founder and CEO of I-PRAC. So that's kind of a short version of where we are today.
So it's interesting. You have this background in marketing, you have this background in property management. I mean, how did you learn about security and fraud and being able to manage a company that actually can guarantee that a property manager isn't a fraudster?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic question, because that was something that scared me, to go into a an industry that I didn't really know anything about. But I just believe that if you put the time and effort into anything, you can understand it, and that's what I did. So, I mean, the idea of I-PRAC came in 2014. But we didn't actually launch the platform until 2016. So there was 2 years of development, R&D, research, failed website attempts, failed logo attempts, a lot of failures in that 2 years to get to where we had to be able to launch it. And it wasn't, when I studied it, it wasn't actually as complicated as I originally thought, because it was just because the industry just had no barrier to entry. And that was basically where the problem was. It was so easy for fraudsters just to list fraudulent fraudulent listings and just take people's money and then run away. So it was about basically just understanding what items that we needed to verify to make sure somebody was legitimate. And that was kind of a lot of work in terms of, I met with a lot of fraud security experts, asked a lot of questions, asked them what they thought we could do to improve. And yeah, we, like I say, a lot of failures on the journey to launching. But yeah, we got there. But I had to study it. I mean, I had to really, put your head down and learn an industry that I didn't know.
Yeah, it's interesting, because then first it's not just, okay, you have to learn about all the security. You can talk to experts. You can say, okay, this is how we can tell. These are indicators of whether somebody's a fraudster or not. Once you have all of that done and ready, and you're able to verify these things, now you're kind of a two-sided marketplace, right? Because you have to, because this verification that the hosts are using, it's also it's a marketing tool in a sense. I mean, of course it's to verify, but it's to say to potential guests, I'm safe, I won't rip you off. So then you have to market the host saying, okay, this is going to show the guests that you're a safe place. But then at the same time, you also have to market to the guests to say, this is the golden standard in security, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
but that was how. Yeah, this was one of the reasons when we were going through the development of I-PRAC. It was like, how can we make this a dual benefit to both the guest and the host? So this is I-PRAC's it's a free service for obviously a guest to use, because they're booking directly with an approved member. But we wanted to find a way how we could make sure that the members could use it as a marketing platform as well. So that came in the terms of the unique I-PRAC profile, which the logo is linked to. So each I-PRAC logo is unique, each I-PRAC profile is unique, and the membership number that's in the logo is linked to the profile. So members can market their profile, and it has a lot of the identification listed on the profile that they can verify. So we have members who are marketing their profile as a marketing tool and a conversion tool, and then the certificate and the logo is the certification side. So it basically works for both parties, which is fantastic, and that's what we wanted to achieve, not just a logo of certification, because I believe there's too many of them and there's no accountability towards them, because this is one of the things, a logo can be easily copied.
Yeah.
And this took us like 5 months to develop the technology, just to be able to understand how we can make a unique logo for every new member, so that you can't take an I-PRAC logo and put it on a fraudulent website. It's just impossible, because the ID number won't link back to the profile.
Okay.
So it was very technical, but after a lot of money investing in it, and like you say, failures, we got there.
So you started I-PRAC with Mary, right? Mary Tang. Oh, I'm gonna butcher her
name. Well, actually, Marie's my long-term. We're not married, but we're together with 3 children.
Okay.
So we built AES kind of together. She came in at a later stage, and when we decided to do I-PRAC, that was something that we decided that we would do together. So she's more in the back end of the administration and the finance, because that's what she's good at. And I'm in more of the development and the marketing and the face behind I-PRAC, trying to get it out there. But yeah, we founded it together, yeah.
And how many people are on your team now? Or is it just you two?
No. We have, well, we're based here in the south of France. We have an office in the UK in London, and there's 6 members there. And then we have the approval office in Manchester, and we have just under, I think it was about 19 approval managers and administrative, team. So we've got about 25, 26 members of the team now.
Was there a lot of overlap, because you obviously had the property management company that you grew, so you're experienced business owner, but what you said you encountered a few different failures on the way to building I-PRAC, and I would love to talk about those. As we had mentioned before we started recording, it's a long route to success and there's a lot of failures on the way. You just got to keep going. So let's talk about what failures you had, where your business acumen skills in one place did not transfer to a completely different kind of business.
Yeah, I think the biggest one was when we started I-PRAC. I was very keen to, very kind of, to get it started, and we did an interview to get 3 website developers around the table, obviously at different times, to explain the project, and we went with one. I mean, I won't mention the name. I don't think that's fair, but we went with one, and it just kind of, I don't know. They sold us on a lot of items that they said they could do, but they really couldn't. And I think we got to about maybe 90,000 pounds in, and realized that they couldn't do the job. So we had to start again. So that was a massive, I mean, you call it a failure. I mean, I don't mind the word failure. It doesn't bother me. It's just a matter of you've done something that you need to learn from and take it into another dimension and carry on in another way. Yeah. So I mean, we needed to fail at that to be able to then do the right due diligence on finding the new company. And when we had that experience, we've then found our new company, which was a company in London, and we knew what questions to ask, we knew what due diligence to do, and that's how we got to working with this company now. And now they've built a fantastic platform. But that was a massive to lose, just to say stop. We had to just say stop. We can't go any, because they kept on saying, no, but we can change the design. We just can't. You've gone too far. You're not understanding the concept. You're not understanding what we're trying to achieve. And it's just 90,000 pounds down, lost, stop. So, and that was our own money as well, So, I mean, I-PRAC's been bootstrapped from the start, I mean, I think the whole development now we're just under about 600,000 pounds of development. And that's we've bootstrapped that. So we haven't done any VC we haven't raised any capital to get that. So it was all of our own money. And to lose 90,000, it's kind of like, and that was kind of my decision. So obviously going to your co-founder and partner who you have dinner with on a night, that was quite a hard conversation to have, that we're just going to have to stop and we're losing 90,000. But I'd prefer to stop now and lose 90 than continue in a road that is not going in the right direction and end up with 120 and 140. And, so sometimes I think you've got to know when to stop, I think, and change direction, not stop, change direction, and I think that's where a lot of people say failure is about stopping. And I don't believe failure is stopping. It's just changing direction.
Yeah.
And I think that's why so many people think that they started something, and if they stop it, they've failed. It's not that. They stop it and change direction and move forward in a different way to develop, and you learn on the way. So that was the biggest one.
This kind of lesson that you learned is sometimes it's hard to understand whether is it the person that you outsourced or the company that you outsourced or the person that you hired, or is it that the goals aren't clear enough, the systems aren't clear enough? How did you I mean, I guess you realize that after. I also have made a mistake like this too, but for me, it was I hired somebody who was actually fine, but it was my systems that weren't tight enough at the time. And
Yeah.
I didn't have enough direction to give this person. I was kind of hoping that they were going to solve my problem for me and just tell
Hmm.
me what to do, but I didn't have clarity and it didn't work. It was also a waste of money, but it wasn't actually because of the person that I hired. Um, how do you identify what's the cause of this kind of mistake? How long does it take you? How long did it take you to get to this 90,000 before you're like, oh, okay, wrong person, wrong company?
Um, I think it was just a matter of, I think it was just watching the development of because I had the 2 years of R&D, when I say the 2 years of R&D, a year of that was just planning. That was just me with like paper, like saying, how would this scenario work out? How would this scenario work out? Well, if a member did this and they did that, that wouldn't work. And so there was a lot of planning in terms of just on paper. So I had a very clear understanding
Okay.
of what we wanted to achieve. And to be quite honest, it wasn't a complicated um, website. It was expensive to build, of course, because of the back office and the technology, but I knew exactly what I wanted. Maybe I could have explained certain things in a different way, but they went down a road where they were developing some technology that didn't do what the brief said.
Yeah.
And when we came to do the testing, I was kind of like, but I don't understand what this is, and it's like, and they came across and did the testing in front of us, but it didn't do what we briefed them to do. And it was like, but that's got to link to the profile, and this has got really. And it was like, yeah, really. I mean, the brief's there; it's quite clear. It's all been written down, and so there might have been. I think as well. I don't think that we were having regular meetings enough as well. I think I put enough too much confidence in them as a brand, as a developer, to kind of say, you know what, you guys know better than me. I'll just let you get on with it. But I think if I'd learned anything from that, it would be to create regular update meetings where you can understand where you are in the process, so you can stop something from going wrong early enough
Yeah.
and not too late. And I mean, that was probably the biggest, failure in terms of, but I wouldn't change it, because it's kind of given us the opportunity to work with this new company, and they bring so much value to I-PRAC, because they are invested in it as well. They're emotionally invested in it because they love it as well, and
Yeah.
they bring us kind of brilliant ideas that we can add to the platform, which is fantastic. So we're just developing all. So they've become more of a partner now, and I think that's what I was looking for at the start, but just didn't find it, and it cost us £90,000. So, but like I say, it's not something I would take back, but I needed to make sure that I learned from that
Yeah.
experience, and hopefully people listening to this who maybe is looking at doing a startup and they're thinking, okay, I'm going to bootstrap it. Before you get into it, take your time and plan and do
It's
your due diligence.
absolutely, it's so important. I'm also going through a hiring process right now, and I'm going through a very similar story as yours. I had a hire, it went wrong. That time, unlike your experience, it was my fault for not having a clear systems clarity, and also for
Mm-hmm.
just hiring just whatever person. I said, hey, I need this. And then I just went with the first person that said, this is how much I charge per hour. And I was like, okay, great, let's do it.
Yeah.
And now I have this really complex application process that's sort of an automated due diligence, not automated, but it makes the applicant go through a lot of steps with a lot of little traps to make sure that they're paying attention, that they're able to follow instructions, and that their values are aligned with what I'm looking
Mm-hmm.
for. And out of hundreds, it was like 300 people that clicked on this application, 5 have made it through the application process just because, and they're all
Yeah.
really good.
But that's it. So you wouldn't have been able to design that and get to that stage if you hadn't experienced the prior experience of when you think you hired the wrong person. So I think that's why you've always got to look at whatever happens in your journey. Never look at it as an issue or a problem. You have to look at it as, I welcome that, so I can learn from it, and then I can make sure that my mum used to say to me when I was a little boy, don't make the same mistake twice. And that's, we all get brought up with that. And I think it's clear, don't make the same mistake twice. So make a mistake, it's okay. But if you can't learn from it, then you're going to go and make the same mistake again. And then it becomes problematic.
Yeah.
For your mental health and for your business, because you start self-sabotaging. So whatever mistake you make, just accept it, take it on the chin, but learn from it and move on, and make sure that you adapt to a different route after.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm interested in it as well in why, because you have 26 people, you said in-house employed.
Yeah.
Why do you want to outsource the development? Why did you decide to do that externally with another company, which granted you said now it's more like they're more like a partner of yours, but how did you decide to outsource it instead of bringing somebody in?
Well, I think, the thing is with development is developers have got very itchy feet. Okay. So you could spend 12 to 18 months with an internal development team building what you want to do, and then he goes. He might just want to leave for whatever reason. He might want to go and tour the world. He might want to get married and have children, and he's gone. But that's his baby. But he's then got to teach somebody else all of the coding, the programming, and then that other person comes in. Then you start all over again. Then he might want to leave, or she might want to leave. So to outsource it, it's their problem. I don't care who leaves and goes in their company.
Yeah, okay.
They get paid a job for us to do it. They make it happen. I don't want to know about your staffing issues, but developers, generally developers, they get offered other jobs, and they go. It's very, very rare that internal developers stay more than 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
And that was something that I realized, and I looked at, and I got told that as well. So that was a decision that we made. And it's probably a little bit more expensive to be outsourcing that kind of work. But like I say, if you've got the right company, they just have to deliver. And that's on them, not you trying to, I believe that staffing is hard, is such a hard job, as a manager, as a CEO, making sure that you invest emotionally in your staff, in your team, to make sure that they want to stay. But developers, they just get itchy feet. I just realized, they just want to go to other places. It's very rare. So
yeah,
that's why we outsourced it.
Cool. So I'm just changing the conversation because I forgot. I didn't forget. I'm now remembering that I saw recently that I-PRAC is actually starting to work with Skillshare.
Yes. Yes.
So you're providing some online courses. Tell me about how this came to be.
Well, yeah. So, I'm like I said when we were off camera, I'm a huge, I wake up every day just wanting to learn something. So that's kind of where I believe that, future, like growth and future, is all about learning new skills, new ways to do things. And Skillshare is something that I've used personally. And I decided that we would try to bring this to bring value to the I-PRAC members. So we can choose specific courses that Skillshare provide, and then we can link them back and put them on the back end office of our members, so they can link back to them and start learning different ways about marketing, about social media, about SEO, about leadership, all these different things, psychology, and we're kind of picking the subjects. So it was this is a partnership that was like 8 months, started 8 months ago. So it's been really, it's been not tough, but, to get it right in how that we can develop, because Skillshare are very interested in tapping into our global membership as well, because it's a high number. So they're interested in getting, you know, their platform in front of our members, because we want to give maybe 25 courses a year that are chosen by I-PRAC that they can choose from. But I'm sure that anybody who starts to use Skillshare as a platform would start seeing other areas that they want to develop them personally and their business. I mean, it's a fantastic platform, it really is. And I'm all about learning. And one of the reasons I love about I-PRAC and the membership is bringing value to our members all of the time. You'll probably see me on LinkedIn, and we're all about trying to bring value and not in decreasing the membership price, but adding more value to the members all of the time. And I think this partnership with Skillshare is just, I love it. I love it. Just brilliant. Yeah.
So it's for the members, and you're offering them free courses basically on Skillshare that you choose. You've curated these different courses.
Yes, we're going to curate. Yeah, we'll curate them so that that we believe that can be beneficial to the short-term rental industry as a property manager. I mean, I know what skills can help you be better at that job, because I've been involved in that for like 20 years. So there's certain courses that I've chosen with Skillshare that they can, you know, develop and put them into our system, and our members can get free access to these courses and just learn. Yeah. I mean, you know what, it's just amazing.
I resonated. You posted something on LinkedIn last week as well about skill stacking. And it was like, it's hard to be the best at one thing, but you can add little skills here and there and become, you know, go broad, but then you'll end up, you know, you can still go deep into your space, but it's good to have some broad knowledge as well. And I also resonate with that, because it's been one of my goals to be they call the T-shaped marketer. So I know a bit about PPC, about SMM, et cetera, but then I go deep into SEO and content marketing. But I think it is important to be able to connect the dots to learn about other things. So if you're working in a silo and you only learn things about the one specific thing that you're doing, it's hard to connect dots and get these little light bulbs like, oh, they're doing that in that sector. Somehow it can apply to what you're doing here, and somehow it can help. So I think that it's really awesome what you're doing for your.
Yeah, I think skill, you know, like skill stacking is something that I got introduced to about 11 years ago. And it was a guy in Monaco who taught me about it. And he just kind of said, there's no point trying to be the best at one thing, because you can't be, you know. And it was like, really? You can't? He said, no, you can't. You cannot be the best public speaker. You cannot be the best footballer in the world, or, you know, you've got to have to be the best, you've got to be good at so many different things. So choose the things you feel that can, you know, support that what you're trying to do, and get good at all of these different things. So skill stacking is like, not many people are aware of it. I don't think people seem to do it. But I mean, it's something I've been doing for about 11 years, and I think it's helped me to. It's about trying to understand as well. I mean, if you're having a conversation about SEO and you're the CEO of a company, you don't want to be sitting in that meeting like blind and having nothing, like no understanding of what that person's selling you. Yeah. You know, so you might not know as much as that person, of course, but you can't be completely and utterly like, I know nothing about this, so you can just say what you want and I have to understand it. So I think by understanding all of these things, you just become a more open person, a more intelligent person within the business sector, because you know a lot about a lot. And I think that's what skill stacking is all about, you know. I mean, there's that saying, and I think there's that saying which I love, which says, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, you know. And I think making sure that you can learn from other people and say, you know what, I need that skill. I need that skill. So many people are very critical of themselves. No, I don't need it. I don't need it. Or I'm good at it already. But really, if you're honest with yourself, you're not. Yeah, you're not. So go out and learn it, go out and learn it. And now there's so many ways. You don't need to go to university. You don't just, with YouTube and all of these experts online just giving you free advice and free learning opportunities. I think that's what you've got to, young kids today have just got a fantastic opportunity out there, not like when we were kids.
Yeah. No, I mean, even just going on LinkedIn, it's like LinkedIn University.
Yeah, well, this is it. If you're following the right people, I mean, it's like I say to I've got a 19-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old daughter, so I'm kind of educating them in a way, saying, listen, you can go on Instagram, but choosing who to follow and who to give your time to is your choice. And if you're so you can decide whether you want to follow, things that are just not really educating your mind and just feeding the dopamine, if you want to call it, but decide who you want to be and who you want to do. So social media is fantastic if you use it in the right way, but if you sit on it for hours just following the wrong people, then that's not a good thing. So I think, we've got a great opportunity now to learn across all of these different platforms and just become more intelligent people within the world of our business.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation with a lot of value in it.
Thank you.
Where's the best place for people to connect with you?
Well, for me, I'm not on any of the social media accounts apart from LinkedIn. I don't do any of the others. So you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can email me at chris@i-prac.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. If you are watching this episode or listening to it and you enjoyed it, please give it a like, share it with a friend or colleague, and follow Chris on LinkedIn. Connect with him and connect with me. And
absolutely, follow you for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
I've learned so much from what you're doing anyway. That's another thing when we're talking about the learning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just listening to what you're doing and how you interview with the people in your podcast. It's just you're obviously very, you're very in depth of what you do, and once again, it's all about. I love what you're doing with your podcast and tapping into the short-term rental market a little bit. It's I'm learning as well, so it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been such a great way to meet people from the industry, actually. The podcast, initially, I was like, oh, I'm going to have content. But it's so much more. It's so much more than that. It's really a networking tool and a learning tool for me, because then I get to learn from you. I have you here one-on-one for 30 minutes, and I get to tap into your experience and your knowledge. And it's one of the best ideas that I've had was starting this podcast.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
Yeah, excellent. All right. Well, I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much. And
pleasure.
So hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and see you for the next one. Ciao.
Thank you.